Can a Christian end up in hell? The short answer is yes. In the book of Matthew chapter 7 verse 22 to 23, Jesus talks about the day of judgment. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name have cast out devils? And in your name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. Jesus speaks of the judgment day, where many will stand before him thinking that they'll get to spend eternity with him because they served him. But on that day, he will reject them. These are people who served in church, preached, even prophesied and did many miracles in his name. Why would they be condemned to hell? In Matthew chapter 25 verse 41, Jesus talks about hell. Then he will say to those on his left, Depart from me, you are cast into eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. To understand how horrible hell is, you need to understand that it wasn't designed to torture humans, but to torture the devil and his angels. In Mark chapter 9 verse 43, Jesus talks about a fire that will never be quenched. And in verse 48, he talks about worms that never die with a fire that is never quenched. And in Matthew chapter 13 verse 50, he describes a place where there is a blazing furnace and weeping and gnashing of teeth. To make matters worse, in verse 46 of Matthew chapter 25, he says that the punishment will be eternal. The day you were born, someone went to hell, and they're still there. The day your parents were born, someone went to hell, and they're still there. 1,000 years ago, someone went to hell, and they are still there. There are no breaks, and there's no end to the suffering. So why would Christians who have given their lives to serve God be sent to hell? A Pharisee once asked Jesus, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus answered, Thou shalt love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. You need to understand this. By loving God and loving your neighbor, you have kept all of God's commandments. So how do you love God? By going to church, praying, fasting. By now I hope you realize that that's not it. In James chapter 4 verse 20, the Bible tells us that whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. In ending the sermon on Judgment Day, Jesus concludes as follows. Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. In other words, what we do for our fellow human beings, we are doing to God. And what we fail to do for them, we are failing to do for God. You cannot say you love God and be mean to others. A spiritual man, a true spiritual man, bears the fruit of the Spirit. That is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Throughout the Gospels, Jesus demonstrates and elaborates that God cares about how we treat other human beings. If we are judgmental, with the same measure we will be judged. If we do not forgive, we will also not be forgiven. If we do not show mercy, we will also experience no mercy from God. Jesus teaches us to love. Love those who don't deserve. Love those who hurt us. To bless those who curse us. And do good to those who persecute us. To turn the other cheek. This presentation is not to condemn, but to warn you, so that you may not end up spending eternity in damnation. If you were to stand before the judgment seat of God today, where will you go?